All right, well, this video is going to be called LA Noire as we head down these Noire steps, and hopefully that's the last time I use that word. And to start it off, what better place than Angel's Flight? And this is actually the second location of Angel's Flight. The first one was just a little bit up here. I'll show you. But it was put back in the 1990s and it crashed a time or two. And pretty soon development is going to surround it. There was a time when that was a park and you could just kind of hang out on that hill right there. And I really wish they would have kept it as a park. That is Grand Central Market, and way over yonder is City Hall, which was the tallest building in LA for a while. And this is actually where Angel's Flight used to be, so about a half a block away. So above the tunnel is these Nixon era senior citizens. This is kind of like, from what I understand, something to do with the early incarnation of HUD, the Bradbury building, which was built in 1893 and housed the city's, from what I understand, the first elevator in the city. And there's Carl's Jr. And in the reflection there is the $1 Million Theater. Rumor has it cost a lot of money. Maybe even $1 million. To the public due to health concerns, but I'm not going to do a video on this building alone. I could never do it justice. But if you ever get a chance to get going there by appointment or just to walk in and see how far you can get, there's security. That's I can't believe they're still using the is there a health concern I didn't hear about? Your fire escapes. If your office is on fire, you could be more likely to be injured or killed escaping than in the actual fire. And the Victor clothing. This is my favorite mural. It was created in 1984. So right around the time of the Olympics. And that's the restored mural. It was in bad shape when I first moved here. And I forget when they restored it, but thank goodness they did. Ooh, we even got a full moon. So this was once this was an older part of town, and it kind of succumbed to parking lot madness. Oh, there's City Hall right there. It's no longer Rams colors. There's some pretty old school. Those over there's a couple bars, including a punk rock bar that's not currently open. This is a 12-story state building. And I know it's not the same building, but it reminds me of in Cheech and Chong when Cheech is trying to make it with the girl that works at the welfare office. And this building over here is going to take some getting used to. It used to be a parking lot, and I'm not used to what it's being used as now, which is this brand new squeaky clean alley and a hotel. Pretty leveled up. The way it was built was weird. I think they built it in Salt Lake City, I believe, in little pods, and then they took it here by a truck, and then they assembled it all in a very cost-effective manner. So, I love hotels. I hate Airbnb. I think Airbnb destroys cities. So this is the Continental building. This was built in 1903. It was kind of the first real kind of kick at making LA a real city and not just the Old West backwater. So this building exceeds the 12-story height restriction that was in place for so long. And dude.
For each person? Oh, that's fine. That'll be okay.
So I was on a good flow, and then my dogs start getting irreparably tangled. So I think, and these are condos. This area actually really came into being because it became this lowly backwater of Los Angeles, and they built these epic financial institutions, and this is one of the first parts of downtown to actually, if you want to call it, gentrify. Once upon a time, there used to be a bar called 107. Probably around like 2006 or something, I just found this place, and the music coming out of it was good, and there was ample parking. You could literally just roll up and park your car and go into this bar. Herman Hellman building. So this was a little bit later, but you can see that LA had really leveled up by the time they started building banks in this area. And actually there's a lot of banking business to be had, because in the 1880s there was a giant land boom where they sold off all of these different tracts of land, and that eventually went bust. But by the 1890s they're like, okay, let's get this done. So in the 1890s, you know, there was money to be had. You could plow land to make fields. You can hustle anything. So this is now the Hotel Barclay by name only. And of course, every coming of age city needs a hotel. So this was built in 1897. And this was when LA really started to hit turbo when it came to spreading to the west. I mean, the tunnel we came from over there, that was built in response to development to the west. So this used to be Bar 107. It looks to be original tile and stuff. If you use your imagination and look, look how short the handrails are. So these cross braces, that's later retrofit, but man, that's an old building to be just trusting of it to stand. So, and it's used as a hotel. I don't know if that's the original lobby, but so this sign is fully restored. I have seen it fully lit up, and I felt like Clark Griswold on Christmas Vacation when I saw it. I didn't have my camera with me, I just had my phone, so. See, look at that. Doesn't that just scream Western prosperity? These are apartments now, but this is Isaac Van Nuys, from that Van Nuys. And this was his office building, which was an early office building. So this corner actually has quite a few historic buildings. So I'm going to take a minute to check out this nondescript 6-story building. So I love this building, and not so much by what it looks like or anything like that, but it's it just seems like it's got something really special about it, because look at all this commercial space that's not being used in here. Commercial space is rent, and successful retail space can increase the value of the property. But check this out. I mean, it's got so many layers to it. Like this little like stadium seating area right here, and it's got a little cool artwork there. But it's got these little kiosks, like these little hutches, these little stores, and it's so cool. I wish I watched it get built, and I just wish this place would get successful in some way, like find a way to make it work, because it's really cool. And it's got parking. So I don't want to spend too much time here, but let me just go a little bit farther back just to drive this home what I'm talking about. So it's like a mall, but look at these little tiny sidewalks. Oh yeah, and there's more stuff over here. This is like actually a mall. And I don't know, I see an economy where this works. I see a lot of little pop-up shops and stuff like that, so I would love to see this work. See, it goes all the way around, and then it goes back over here. And this is like right on the edge of kind of where the historic core meets a little bit of Skid Row. It's almost there, not quite though. And Little Tokyo. And of course this alley with all the cool artwork. And actually I think we're in like the tri-corners. It's like we're on the edge of Skid Row here. So this is the same building. It's actually the parking garage for the building. But Check it out. There's like retail space here. It's so cool. And yeah, we're almost in Skid Row here. In fact, this is what I call the event horizon. And that's where you're on the edge of a black hole and it's reality ceases to exist. This is how quick it changes. This is Skid Row. And this is not Skid Row, but you know what? It might freak some people out. I mean, this is it's a well-filmed street, so it's very noticeable from however many movies and TV shows and commercials and everything. It's always used. There's apparently something very special about this street that gets used a lot. So here's one store. Here's another store of some sort. And that's the same store there. Another small one. There seems to be people in there. And this is the other side of that mall, quote unquote. I don't know, call me pessimistic. I don't think that escalator is ever going to work ever again. And so this is just kind of forgotten here. This wouldn't be the worst place to try. If you're at the first rung and you just barely got enough to be able to just have the courage to call someone to lease some space. So this is kind of quasi, I call it the toy district, but it might be called the wholesale district or something. Some very old buildings. See, if you look here, it really does look like an old west town. That kind of brownstone building right there, that used to be a video store when I first moved here. Back before streaming Netflix was a thing. And this is the last view of my favorite nondescript building. There's the entrance to the parking garage, there's a smoke shop. But it's a trip. I'm not saying it's an investor's dream or anything like that, but I would love to see it succeed in one form or the other. It's amazing that there's actually things that are open around here. I know there's a Subway sandwich, but I don't think it's they got rid of all the 24-hour amenities. I don't think I mentioned what street we're on. If I did, forgive me. But this is Los Angeles Street. And that's another very old building, probably from the 1890s, thereabouts. So this looks like it's just a wasteland, but if you come here during the day, most of these hutches are open. There's all kinds of money laundering and cool stuff going on here. There's a Subway sandwich, and yes, it is closed. I thought it closed pretty early. So I'm just going to take this back to Spring Street and then double back to the event horizon. This is apartments that came a little bit later. That's perfect. That's a New York City taxi. Because they're constantly filming here. I didn't even think those cars ran, but I would imagine, like, why would you? I don't know, it makes sense for that they run. And this is an old air raid siren, back when we were afraid of things besides COVID. Another old-timey building. This was once a pretty bustling street right here. That's the Roslyn Hotel, which was a major hotel at the time it was open. And it became a race to find the hotel, race to build the hotel that had, it was like the next big thing. So it was just like in Las Vegas.
Yeah, we should have that all the time.
So the Roslyn, I guess for lack of a better term, is low-income housing. I think they have market rate housing in there as well too. In this tower, in that tower, you can see how they were just racing to build the biggest hotel. So when they added the second tower, they put a tunnel that goes under the street there. So one of these days I'll get down there. I've never seen a current photograph or anything of it. This building right here is just the exterior. They gutted the entire rear end of it. And they gutted the entire thing and redid the front there. And that's supportive housing as well. This is an old sign. I don't know if it's from the 50s or what, but it's the old style.
Hay veces que yo sé la respuesta, pero no lo quiero decir porque.
This is the King Edward Hotel, and it's still intact, and it's gone through a few ownership changes. The rumor is that there's still a few units occupied.
Cute little dog.
Oh, thank you.
Very well.
And this is, I have no way of confirming this, but I don't see any lights on in there, but apparently there's still some remnants in there, and I'm glad this guy's here tonight, because he was here the other night. So I don't know. I mean, I know that there's plans for it, but I guess I won't speculate on it because it's kind of under wraps. So we're back onto, this is 5th Street, and this is called the Nickel, and it's straight into Skid Row. So this is why I call this the Event Horizon, and that explains where that smoke was coming from. So call me superstitious, but I don't really feel like doing a Skid Row video right now, and I think it's a little played out, to be honest with you. That sign is very new, and it's a shame because this is King Eddie's. It's been here since 1933, and it's the last of the actual Skid Row dives. You know, the recent owner changed it, but it's still got it. They still have the locals that were here. So this has been a watering hole for a very long time, and I have to say the first time, I know it was right after I turned 21, and at the time I just described it as drinking with homeless people, but it was it had a counter and had some really bad like bar food. It was like most tavern, but it was very memorable. I'm still vivid in my mind, even if it was 20 years ago or something. This is the Baltimore Hotel. So there's a little bit of a hotel district thing around here because originally, if you arrived in Los Angeles, you arrived by train, and before Union Station in the 1930s, you arrived right down there. So get off the train and go about 4 blocks, and then you'd be greeted with the King Edward Hotel, the Baltimore Hotel, and then Union Station took over as the train station, which didn't change all that much, but it did turn into Skid Row, which has always been kind of a rootin' tootin' part of town, and only recently turned into God only knows what it is. So I don't know what's up with that smoke, but it's a little irritating. So we're still on Los Angeles Street, and this street isn't a very important road. It ends up over by Union Station, over by Olvera Street, and then it goes south through South LA, but it's one of many streets that head south. Broadway's a lot more major of a street. And then some more older buildings. These are used in some way or another. There was a honey oil extraction operation that was going on that resulted in an explosion and all that stuff. And that's another newer building right there. Those are apartments. So the location isn't very great, but it's downtown and it's close to everything. This used to be a Greyhound station, I believe. Whatever it is now, it's the merchandise mart, but it's definitely not used efficiently. It's kind of a big waste of space. And I guess it makes sense that the Greyhound station is across the street from the Pacific Electric lofts. And this hosted, there's a rail station here. You gotta do Kohl's. Kohl's is down here in the basement. But this used to be the end of the line for all rail lines that were headed south. And it's at night, so I can't, actually I should be across the street, but this is worth checking out because there's a parking garage on the ground level here, and it actually just looks like a regular parking garage, like a modern parking garage operation, but it used to be where the trains, this is the ground floor. The trains actually came in through the second level. Actually, you can see, just notice that. You can see how the bottom level is kind of like cheaply done. There used to be a rail viaduct that went before this. So I guess the Greyhound station was built after it, but there used to be a viaduct that headed momentarily to the east and then headed south. So I think that's enough for tonight. We're gonna end up at 7th Street, and why not end at the Cecil Hotel. So my hand's a little bit tired, and I ran this pretty much start to finish. So any edits are just basically just little wastes of space. But this was pretty start to finish. There was no issues, no problems. Okay, here's the Hotel Cecil. So I don't think I've ever gone down the alley in the back of Hotel Cecil, so let's do that. I'm gonna break my moratorium and call it, just as there's some shady figure down there. This is the last time I'm gonna use the word noir, but I did pretty good. So I really wanted to go up next to it, but there's a dude either taking a crap or what. He's just making it very apparent that he's not looking for any company right now. So we will head out and maybe try it some other time. What did this used to be? It's now gone through its gut renovation, and it looks quite nice. Oh, I need to show something. This is disappointing. So this place has been here forever. The sign used to say something else. We modified it to say Mexican. But it used to be, there was a counter right here and through the window. So you could just chill out and eat your food right there with your back turned to the window. And it was quite a great place. And I'm really sad to see that it's gone. But I know that it used to share restrooms with this one. Actually, all right, so this is still open. And that's probably the same people that ran that one. But definitely the pandemic screwed them over big time. The pandemic screwed a lot of things up big time around here. It's really sad to see the lowest hanging fruit, the immigrant businesses, they seem to do the worst. And it was really sad to see people crying over the loss of their business in the pandemic, and they're just gone. And that is just, I don't know what to say. But this is the front of Hotel Cecil. I think there's a couple of entrances here. So this was like a regular market rate hotel. It's always had long-term. I feel like I'm just yakking and not really doing this place justice. But let's just call this the Mirage, like in Vegas. If this was a big deal, this was a nicely polished place when it opened up. And this is the hotel lobby. And I think that's a retail right there.
He was posting things, or you were seeing them?
And this is that's the other entrance right there. So really nondescript. It's got everyone knows about Hotel Cecil. And its neighbor, love this building. It was way ahead of its time. I don't want to start spouting off years because I know I'll get it wrong, but this was a very modern building at the time when it was built. It's awesome looking. And a couple years back, they redid the ground floor in hopes of attracting, the usual Chipotle or Bank Branch or whatever. And a lot of the problems from a retail standpoint has been that this has been a standing encampment for a long time. This started just before the pandemic, and then it just ballooned. They put up chain link fence. So when the encampment started, there's tents. There we go. There's tents on the sidewalk, and then the tents covered the sidewalk, and then they put this, semi-snazzy two-way bike lane here. You couldn't even use the bike lane in the end, so they just called the whole thing off. Oh, they opened up the sidewalk though. So this is what our public spaces have come down to. There's nothing sadder than seeing a park or something like that. Not every park turns to crap after it opens. I hate people that are like that. Some parks are very well maintained and very safe and pleasant places in the city, and then others are just complete crap. So, and you get stuff like this where it's like, now no one could use it. It's like, It's not very productive. I think I'm going to end on this building. This was the first building that just skyrocketed past the 12-story ban. And well, I wish I knew. I think it's 19 stories. I also think that there's a pool on the top. Hopefully I recall correctly. And they put on these balconies. It used to be an office building. This was the last bastion of the bank district. We started off in the old bank district. This was the latter bank district. That was a highfalutin. That was a pretty impressive building for its day. But by the time this was built, they were already building on the west side, and Century City would come up a little bit later. But mostly Mid-Wilshire, Koreatown, all have buildings very similar to this, but this was the first, or one of the early ones. And now it's apartments. So that's that. Ooh, this is kind of not pleasant. There was a standoff, a hostage. Actually, it wasn't even a standoff. Someone took a hostage and shot his gun in one of these stores down here, and then ran into the building, took someone hostage, and God bless her heart, she wasn't hurt, but video was taken from across the street in this building, and it was probably one of the most dramatic things I'd ever seen so close to home. So, all right. That's it for tonight. So not that it means anything, but I just crossed over 200 subscribers. So I know I can't figure out if I want to talk a lot in my videos or not. A lot of times I'm kind of out of.
Hey man, so you got $1?
So I can't tell if I spoke a lot in this video or not, but walking the dogs and talking at the same time and everything. It's makes me a little out of breath. But let me know if you enjoy my commentary or you want me to be quiet or stand still or what. But I would appreciate any feedback. Thank you and have a great night.